Uncoupling the trailer is an integral part of a driver and mechanic's daily routine. It can also be the source of a serious back and/or shoulder injury if you use the wrong technique, make a bad judgment, or are in poor physical condition. In this segment, we are going to discuss how to safely pull the fifth wheel pin release before uncoupling the trailer. Our focus will be on applying the following essential 7 work practices. Be attentive to your surroundings. Communicate hazards immediately. Utilize personal protective equipment. And follow established safety procedures. The focus of this module is on preventing injuries while manually pulling the fifth wheel pin release. Before doing this, however, the truck needs to be properly parked. This should include positioning the rig so the tractor is lined up straight with the trailer. Make sure the ground is flat and can support the weight of the trailer as well. Next, shut off the trailer air supply to lock the trailer brakes. Ease pressure on the fifth wheel locking jaws by backing up gently and set the parking brakes while the tractor is pushing against the kingpin. This will hold the rig with pressure off the locking jaws. Next, chock the trailer wheels, then lower the landing gear. If the trailer is empty, lower the landing gear until it makes firm contact with the ground. If the trailer is loaded, after the landing gear makes firm contact with the ground, turn the crank in low gear a few extra turns. This will lift some of the weight off the tractor. Do not lift the trailer off the fifth wheel. This will make it easier to unlatch the fifth wheel and easier to couple the next time. Finally, disconnect the air and electrical lines. With that said, let's look at the proper way to pull the fifth wheel pin to avoid a shoulder or back injury. You should start any physical activity around the truck with stretching. Stretching is very important for loosening up tight muscles and getting you in the right frame of mind before exerting yourself. Try various techniques to stretch your back, shoulders, arms, and legs. This should only take a few minutes and can help reduce the risk of injury. Before attempting to pull the fifth wheel pin release, be attentive to your surroundings and assess the area around the truck. Check for slip, trip, and fall hazards, like ice, potholes, and other equipment in close proximity that could inhibit your range of motion. You might also need to reposition the truck to give yourself room to work. Also, inspect the condition of your equipment. Always ensure the fifth wheel parts are properly maintained, adjusted, and lubricated. If you find damaged parts or other hazards that cannot be removed, communicate this to the facility manager or your dispatcher for assistance. Do not increase the risk of an injury by putting yourself in an unsafe situation. Pulling the fifth wheel release puts the body in an awkward position, which can expose the driver to back and shoulder injuries. These injuries can be prevented by using a fifth wheel pin puller. Every driver should have this essential piece of personal protective equipment. It is a simple and cost-effective device that works on most fifth wheels. Try to use one with a good hook on the end if possible. The proper procedure for pulling the fifth wheel pin begins with hooking the fifth wheel handle with the puller. If you have to bend down to see underneath the trailer, bend at the knees and hips, not with your back. With the pin puller properly hooked on the handle, establish a good stance with firm footing. Try to keep your feet shoulder-width apart with one foot forward and one back. This will aid stability in case the hook should slip off. Next, place both hands on the handle and pull backwards with your arms in a slow and even motion. Never commit your full body weight in case you lose balance and fall. Also, do not jerk the handle back suddenly and avoid twisting. This could strain a muscle in your back and shoulders. If the pin is stiff and will not move, do not overexert yourself by trying to force it. Instead, get back in the truck and try moving the trailer back and forth to relieve pressure on the kingpin and try pulling the pin again. Never deviate from the proper technique, such as placing one hand on the trailer and one on the pin puller. This can lead to shoulder injuries or putting your foot up on the tire to push off. You could lose balance and fall backwards, exposing yourself to head, neck, back, and other injuries. Always use the proper technique by using 2 hands on the pin puller with both feet firmly situated on the ground, then pull back in one even motion. To recap, we discussed uncoupling the trailer and how to safely pull the fifth wheel pin release. This task should begin by taking a few moments to stretch your back, shoulders, legs, and arms to reduce the risk of injury. The first essential 7 work practice we recommended was to be attentive to your surroundings. Get out and look behind the truck to ensure there are no objects or personnel in the way before backing into a parking spot. Be sure to park on level ground. Also, make sure the surface of the parking area can support the weight of the trailer and is free of slip, trip, and fall hazards, like ice and potholes. Likewise, choose a parking location where nearby trailers and other equipment will not be close enough to inhibit your range of motion. If so, communicate the hazard to the facility manager or your dispatcher and ask for assistance to get the equipment moved. And remember to keep the fifth wheel parts properly maintained, adjusted, and lubricated. Next, use a fifth wheel pin puller. This piece of personal protective equipment, along with proper footwear and anti-slip gloves, can help reduce the risk of injury. Remember, if you need to look under the trailer to help hook the pin handle, bend at the knees, not your back. Once the pin puller is successfully hooked, situate your feet firmly on the ground for stability, and grip the puller with both hands and pull back in one even motion with your arms. Avoid twisting. Do not deviate from this technique. If the fifth wheel is stuck, do not overexert yourself and try to force it. Try rocking the unit and try again. On behalf